Thanks, Sally. It's good to see you again.
Very good to see you. We've known each other for a little bit, but we haven't done this before, so I'm so excited to just have a conversation and talk about some of the things in front of everyone that we've been talking about ourselves. So, just as an introduction to everyone who doesn't know, this is Tobin Ellis, founder and principal of Studio Bar Magic, which is a bar design and innovation studio established almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, 29 years ago. 30 years next year. So yeah, Studio Bar Magic, design bars and do a lot of innovation inside and outside of hospitality, retail, coffee, and automotive, and all kinds of fun stuff.
So you've been doing
Mostly bar design.
So you've been doing this for a little while.
A couple years.
So you're also a six-time bartending champion and one of the world's leading authorities on bar design.
I think what I'm most proud of is the 25 years behind the stick as a bartender in just about every kind of bar. Started in fast food at 16, dishwasher at 18. Worked just about every front of house position, all the way up to director of ops and GM, and consulted for quite a while too. So being behind the wood, being in ops, being with my tribe, informed everything that I did, and so yeah, a bunch of bartending titles and TV appearances and stuff. But that's just all gravy. That's not why we do any of this. It's never about us. And so when the spotlight's on us, people are usually surprised. I don't love the spotlight. I love using the spotlight to redirect to create the party and the joy for everybody else. That's our job.
Which kind of brings us to why we're talking here today, which is this amazing book. So Bar Design Essentials, How to Design Bars That Work for Everyone. So I can't wait to dive into it, but yes, that's why we're here.
So this is Bar Design Essentials on Amazon. It's 17 years took me to write this book. I started it and realized I didn't know enough, and so I went out there and designed hundreds and hundreds of bars, NFL stadiums, bars here in Vegas, high-end restaurants, Michelin star, chain restaurants, dive bars, airport bars, every kind of bar there is, indoor, outdoor, pool, swim-up bars. And then about 3 years ago, got serious and decided I wanted to make it easier for everyone in the industry, as well as architects and interior designers, to understand how bars are built and how to build them so they're better for the people that use them, so that they can be better for the guests to enjoy and the investors to get the return on.
Because there are beautiful bars everywhere, especially here in Las Vegas. You don't have to go very far to find a beautiful bar, but that's kind of not the point, right?
Well, I mean, you're right, and there's beautiful bars everywhere, so why do we need a book about designing bars? Well, I think it depends on the standard of beauty that you put in a bar. A lot of people will say, well, a bar is beautiful because of what it looks like, and I say that a bar isn't necessarily just beautiful because of the way that it looks in a photo when it's empty, but beauty of a bar is how it feels when it's full and it's operating. And if you don't have people involved that understand how to make that happen when you design a bar, it may look beautiful, but if it's empty, it won't be around long, and it's really not fair to the people that have to spend their lives back there trying to figure out how to make it work. Every bartender has walked behind a bar at some point in their lives, a new job, looked at the equipment, looked at where the bar is in the room, the size of it, its orientation to the kitchen, and gone, how am I going to make this work? Who designed this bar? And that needs to change. And it is changing. And this book is a resource for anyone that wants to be part of that conversation, whether it's on a tiny project, whether it's in a marketing capacity, or whether it's in your own dream, or whether it's for a huge company. There are 56 different topics, and it is every micro little detail you want to know about how to build a beautiful functional bar.
So I would basically call it your reference book for bar design.
Hopefully not quite as boring, but yes, it is a reference book.
I didn't mean it that way.
No, it's okay, because it's technical. It gets technical, but I think hopefully it's written, especially the first half. I don't think there's a bartender alive that would pick up this book and be upset. I think they'd be pretty stoked. I think they'd be pretty proud, because it's about what it's like, really like being behind the bar. And that's what informs all my design. It's 25 years of being in the weeds, behind the bar, Vegas, New York, DC, Johannesburg, London, everywhere I've ever worked, and all of the learnings into how to design bars that rock and roll, that let bartenders do what they do back there better.
And so before we go any further, I do want to just let everyone know that we do have some limited copies, and we will be signing those after we're done. So yes,
That's right. Here's the goods. I know that's why you're here. It's either this or slices of pizza. It's the only way, right? Is there pizza?
So I think some of what you just said is maybe the answer to this question. Because 17 years of like going through your brain of like thinking, I could do this better. I need to explain to people how to do this better. And you said 3 years ago is when you really started putting it down. But like, what was that light bulb moment where you're like, okay, there's no other resources out there. If I don't write it, no one will
Well,
know.
that's really what it was all about. 17 years ago, I was on a project and I wanted to design the bar. So I bought every book that existed that said anything about bar and restaurant design, and they were all the same. They were these weird places no one had ever heard of, and they were just a photo of like esoteric photos, and there'd be a paragraph about the subtle light play, and then this postage size stamp plan, and there was nothing that helped me design the bar. I only wrote the book because it needs to be in our industry and no one else wrote it. That's it. It was because I think it's a tool everyone can use. I was at a conference, Hospitality Executive Exchange. Jen Robinson runs that. It's a wonderful event. And I did a panel on bar design and got a lot of feedback. They said, this is all great, but these operators, a lot of them work in national dining chains. Can you come back tomorrow and give them tips on how they can fix their bars for under $200? And I looked at the moderator and I said, no, there's $200. What are you going to buy an extra pack of horsepouts? Like, you can't fix a bar for 200. But it stuck in my brain and it bothered me for years. What can I give the industry for under 100 bucks that can help them improve their bar design? And so now it exists. So for under 100 bucks, you can fix your bars.
So we've kind of talked about architects, interior designers. I know food service consultants also design bars. Sometimes just owner operators try to design their own bar. Who's this book? Who's the right audience?
So the subtitle of the book is How to Design Bars That Work for Everyone. And probably a little bit surprising is the book is written truly for everyone. Architects, interior designers, food service consultants, dealers, general contractors, owner operators. I want them to understand the things that they're missing when they design bars. It's so important for operations. And then for bartenders, managers, and directors and people in ops, you get that opportunity and you get invited to a design meeting and you say something like, can we just move that whole thing down like 18 inches? And you don't know that we're already in the construction document phase, floors have been poured. There's no chance any of that stuff's moving. Or you're asking a massive, massive, expensive, time-consuming thing. You need to understand the landscape, the players, and what that ask really means before you ask it, so you're taken more seriously and you're invited to more meetings. Because if you walk in and say, I know we're like we just entered 80% CD, everyone's wrapping up drawings. I know this will mean some floor trenching. We'll have to core drill and trench and move that floor sink. But if you don't move that, someone's going to break an ankle, and you're probably losing $2.5 to $3.5 million a year because no one's going to use that well. So everyone's going to run down here 9 steps each way every time they make a drink. Bartenders are going to bump into each other. Service is going to suffer, and ultimately you're losing millions and millions of dollars to not spend $18,000 to core drill and move that floor sink the foot that it needs to be moved because it wasn't designed right in the first place. That's the conversation you want to be able to have. This book gives you that language and those resources to be able to have that conversation. So it's kind of for everybody.
So kind of diving down into that bar design and all those little details that really need to be considered. Because you said earlier you've done all sorts of things like stadiums and swim up bars and all those things. So what is that design element that you're looking for first when you start a bar design project?
Well, the first thing I do is I interview the bartenders in the team, and that's a requirement. And I didn't always do that, but now I turn, if it's a renovation, if I can't speak with the bar staff, interview them, I don't take the job. I pass it. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter how famous. I work with famous chefs and all that. That tells me if they don't want me to talk to the people who know the business better than anyone, but the bartenders know what they need behind the bar of a working bar. They know what's missing. They know what doesn't work. They know what's broken. If I can't directly talk bartender to bartender with them, the outcome isn't going to be great. So what I want to do is make sure that's part of it. So that's one, is identify all of the pain points, the project constraints, to be able to give a better design brief. So that's really it. It starts with the humans on both sides of the bar, but it's better employee experience makes a better guest experience is the only way to have a great investor experience. And it only works in that direction. If you always just obsess over the guest experience and you forget the people that bring the guest experience to life, you can't have one. And everyone who's standing here who's in operations is shaking their head because they know that's the way it really works. So that's where it starts. It starts with the humans.
Well, and we can't not talk about the fact that we all care about whether the bar is profitable or not. Because if you're
Absolutely.
not making money, then you're not running a good business.
Well, and you can't keep people employed. You can't take care of people. They can't pay their bills or feed their families, and they're going to go work for someone else.
So how does bar design, how can it drive profitability for a business? You mentioned a little bit about move 18 inches and make sure things are in the right spot, but any other words of wisdom on that?
All right, so I'm going to share a secret of, it's not a secret anymore, I put it in the book too. This is the truth about why I design bars. I started my consulting company in 1997. How many people were in the industry working in 1997?
Oh, we got one, two?
Two. So I consulted for 25 years and realized no matter how good my training, my team's approach, systems, beverage programs, culturization, no matter what we did, unless I left a hero from my company, which we did a lot, to be on property or in that establishment all the time, eventually a new manager comes in, a new lead bartender, they want to do their own thing, which is totally understandable. And the work we did starts to lose some of its power because people change things because they think they know better, or maybe they do. But ultimately, I would do all this work, my teams would do this work, and we'd go, what happened to that place? Like, we gave them the playbook, we did everything, the place was crushing it. Oh, well, they don't know the difference between the pH of apple cider and apple juice, the number one selling drink, no one likes it anymore. How do they not know that? So instead of putting all the energy into things that were kind of ephemeral and would just fade off, I thought, well, what's something I can do that can help every single bar in the world that they can't change? The steal. If I design a better bar, I know they'll be faster, I know it'll improve the business, and it's really painful to change. That's why I got into bar design. And the more I did it and saw the financial changes, the results in just redoing the bar, I realized this is it. When we redid the Greenbrier Resort lobby bar, we just redesigned the bar, kind of cleaned up the beverage program, but they already had a really nice plastic program. 258% increase in revenue, quarter to quarter, year to year. I have all the sales mix summaries. It's a very real number. And everyone there was blown away, so they had us redo the whole resort. But I said, why are you blown away? The design you had was ridiculous. Like, your bartenders all wanted to quit, but they're union and they had a really good gig, but they hated working this bar. How many people out here have been involved in any capacity in designing a bar? A little bit. How many people have not but wish they could be and have more say in how their bars are designed? Yeah, that's what we're here to talk about with Bar Design Essentials. And just to remind everyone as you're swinging by Amazon, just Bar Design Essentials, and there you go.
So I think it'd be really easy to, like the apple cider vinegar and the bar and the menu and the cocktail program, it would be easy to go down a rabbit hole, right? So like what are some rabbit holes that you went down and some maybe some good directions and maybe not so good directions?
Okay, let's talk about ice for a second. So
Thank you.
when you design a bar and you specify ice machines, you really need to understand the poundage and how much ice the business needs. And you can Google it; it'll tell you, oh, you need this many pounds and per person or per drink. I learned a very long time ago. It's called bridge to a source. Instead of just believing everything you read, find a reliable source. Make sure that the decisions that you are making are based on information that you trust, not just because 5 people or 500 people say it. So I started looking at some of those ice pounders and going, that doesn't sound right. I don't think this makes sense. So I did an ice study. Took out 10 different cups, took out 5 different types of ice, and I started measuring weight by volume, water, weight by volume, water, volume, and classified it all to figure out, like, so for example, a 10-ounce old-fashioned glass holds between 5.5 and 6.4 ounces by weight of a standard pillow ice cube. And you can go home and check that, and you can see if I'm close. 12-ounce tumbler will hold closer to about 6.5. It's really not a huge difference, but so I used that, and then I went, okay, I've got this club at this place in New York. It has more bars than most hotels. It has 4 physical bars and 8 wells, and it opens up at stays open till 4 in the morning.
Mm.
So how much ice? How many pounds of ice do I need to run this place? Well, each one of the wells has 85 holds 85 pounds of ice, and I've got to fill those up to start service, and then I've got to keep them refreshed through 4 in the morning. So I sat there and calculated out all of the math to figure out, yeah, everyone's telling me I only need 750 to 800 pound machine. There's no way I won't even be able to get through 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I did the Hoshizaki IM SAD, now they're SAC 500s. These are the 544s, 44 inches wide. They're air cooled. I put them on a huge hopper and I triple stack them. They're the only machines I think you can triple stack, which a lot of people hadn't done. Triple stack the machines, 1,500 pounds of ice, and that place blows through it. It works. You don't want too much ice because you don't want to get bacteria. You don't want the ice sticking at the bottom, but you can't run out in the middle of the shift. You can run out of one brand of vodka or tequila. You can run out of straws. We've all been there. You can run out of almost anything behind a bar, and you can make it work. Except you can't run out of ice. You're dead in the water. So that was a really important consideration. So I did all those calculations. We put the machines in its Ivory Peacock in Nomad in Manhattan, and it's been there for 5 years now. And I don't think if we hadn't done that, I really think they would have struggled to figure out how to keep the business moving. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's true.
And I also appreciate that you spec the Hoshi ice machines, because we hear that from a lot of different people. That there's not anything really like it that works as well, that is reliable.
Towards the end of the book, it's not just all charts and diagrams and plans. That's in there. There's a lot of just talking real about what it's like to own or run a bar. I ran a number of bars. And the truth is, if we're getting honest about it, running a restaurant or a bar, you can try to say it's about challenges and opportunities. The truth is about problems. It's 100 problems a day that you are there to put a smile on your face and help everyone get excited to fix. And things just go wrong and things break. And the longer you're in the business, the more you realize the value of that piece of machinery that you buy is it's one less thing on your list of things you have to worry about that day. You don't want to worry about your ice machine. And since I was 19 years old, the places I worked that didn't have problems with their ice machine, the truth is they all had Hoshizaki, and it made a huge impression on me as a young bartender. And as you know, I spec Hoshizakis for over 20 years now. I don't think twice about it. I'm not saying there aren't other machines that people like, and it's not about that. It's I don't want to, as a designer, specify a machine onto someone's project and then get a phone call 3 months in saying, hey, that ice machine you told us to buy isn't working. Thanks a lot. Get over here and help us figure out how to fix it. I don't get calls about ice machines because I spec Hoshi. This is God honest truth. I don't even know if you knew that. I don't even know if you know you're in the book. But you're towards
I haven't read the whole thing yet. I have to be honest, but I have done a lot of skimming of it.
All right.
So